Rum hasn't always been a popular liquor. It was known for being relatively harsh and terrible for a long period of time. In fact, it wasn't until Facundo Bacardi, a wine merchant, decided to employ a bunch of other techniques used in other distillation processes, like cognac yeast, barrel aging, and charcoal filtration, that rum actually became palatable to more refined palates. This way he could actually market rum to the higher classes. Another marketing thing they did? Put a bat on the logo to make the drink more appealing to illiterate followers of Santeria, Voodoo's sister religion. Using branding to market towards the illiterate isn't new, especially during times when the literacy rate wasn't nearly as high. It's why English pubs have the names they do.
The Inn of the Prancing Pony.
Ah, there it is, the snuggly duckling.
The first post, the old familiar, the famous cock, the cross hands, the good companions, the trusty servant, the two-headed dog, the mermaid, the beehive, the king's head, the hole in the wall, the world's end.
The official story Bacardi gives for how they came to the logo of the bat goes something like this. Amalia Bacardi, his wife, having spotted fruit bats in the family's distillery, insisted it be used as their symbol. The fruit bat was a logical choice to serve as a logo for a molasses-based distilled spirit. As natural friends of the sugarcane industry, bats pollinate the crop and prey on insects that damage it. It was an insightful choice because, according to Cuban and Spanish lore, bats symbolize good health, good fortune, and family unity. Other alcohol historians note that it was considered to be a symbol of luck by the Afro-Cuban followers of Santeria, a system of beliefs related to voodoo. The bat symbol generated, then as now, a high recognition factor. At a time when only a quarter of the urban population could read or write, the emblem made the decision to buy easier for illiterates. So what is Santeria? Both voodoo and Santeria are the result of African slaves being forced to convert to Christianity. It's a syncretistic religion that mixes African tribal religion with Catholicism. Caribbean slaves taken from Africa were forced to convert to Catholicism. Not wanting to abandon their native religion, they hid their practices in the worship of the saints, by turning the gods they had into the saints they saw in the Catholic calendar. Saint Peter merged with Ogun, the warrior god, for his stubbornness and combativeness. The Virgin Mary combined with two different gods, Obatala and Yamaya. Saint Lazarus merged with Babalu Aye, and Saint Anthony with Elaguya. This way they could worship their old gods, but just look like they're giving reverence to the saints. Santeria meaning the worship of the saints. A super simplified explanation of the difference between Santeria and voodoo. It has to do with the area of Africa they're taken from, and the area of the Caribbean they land in. Santeria is the Yoruba slaves being forced to work in the Spanish areas of the Caribbean, while voodoo draws on a greater variety of African traditions in the French areas of the Caribbean. And rum, like local intoxicants in other cultures, is a sacred drink and used in various religious ceremonies. That's right, Santeria, as well as voodoo. It allows you to have cigars and rum is sacramental. But really, is it ever uncommon for people to use local intoxicants in their spiritual practice? Other things Santeria and voodoo have in common? Blood sacrifices. Blood sacrifices transfer life force to these spirits. This allows the spirit to keep living as they are not immortal in the traditional sense, and it gives them power. Another thing common in both these religions? Zombies. Classic island zombies. When you reanimate a person because that person was a dick, and you want to make them your slave. Those who have studied the phenomenon think a neurotoxin was administered to a person, making them appear dead. After the funeral, they would be exhumed, and having been so brain damaged from lack of oxygen amongst other things, they were easily turned into a zombie, or basically brain-dead servant.
Something terrible's happened. The professor's been turned into a zombie.
Oh, how terrible, a zombie.
Help.
Thurston!
Yes, my dear, what is it?
What's a zombie?
What's a zombie? Well, it's rather, you see, you take 5 jiggers of rum and then some cooling ice and fruit juice. Why do you ask?
Well, the professor's just been turned into one.
Oh, well, let's go see.
Speaking of zombies, it's a rum-based cocktail that uses tropical fruits, like pineapples and lime juice. The original version, created by Don Beach, had other ingredients in it, like cinnamon syrup, grenadine, bitters, Pernod, and the recipe was guarded ruthlessly. And still today you'll get a good amount of variants, but the common themes are tropical fruit juices and a lot of rum. It was a hair of the dog kind of cure for a hangover, where what you need is more alcohol to get going again. I opted to use a hurricane glass as opposed to the traditional Collins glass. Ingredient-wise, you'll need ice, various types of rum, as well as any syrups you might want to use. Fruit juices like pineapple, mango, or lime juice. Your ingredients should be mixed either by stirring, blending, or most commonly by shaking, then straining into the glass. Then garnish with a cherry. If you're gonna light it on fire, make sure you layer the Bacardi 151 onto the finished drink.